Hello out there, all you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for joining me for another What If discussion. And I know that it has been a while since I've done one. And I really do like to do these, but I don't want to do them haphazardly. So this one is going to be what if I was behind Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, I've recently finished that game, and boy, are there some problems with it. But we'll cover all of that and what changes I would have made in place of some of the things that I saw in the game that would have made it a better overall experience. Firstly, one of the biggest complaints with Mass Effect Andromeda is that the characters are visually emotionless. Many of the characters in this game, the upper half of their face shows no sort of movement. It's all just like they're staring blankly into space like mannequins, but their mouths are moving. It is one of the most awkward things in this game because when the characters do express emotion, and their voice cast actually did a very good job. So when the characters do express emotions, you don't see it on their faces like you do in all of the original trilogy of games, where you can see where the characters are distressed or they're happy, they're angered, they're saddened. You can see those emotions on their faces. You don't see it in Mass Effect Andromeda when the characters speak. It's just like their faces are just super blank. It's like they all have like one look, and that one look is what they have the entirety of the game. It is the most awkward thing. So I would have got the team on that, but like, nah, we need to fix this. I don't know how you can have higher quality character models, but the art design is way worse. That's just like, oh gosh, that's horrible. Ooh, horrible, horrible, horrible. That's bad because of the lineage of games that Mass Effect Andromeda came from. So that's poor. So that would be one of the first things I'd change. I'd make sure that all the characters in the game express emotions. The only characters that you really shouldn't be able to see an emotional effect on their faces are the Krogan, because Krogan have a static face. That's how it's pretty much always been. You can't really see their emotions. They kind of give off this angry look, most of them. So that's just how they look. You can't really do anything with that. But they all express their emotions at the very least. Secondly, every race has only like 2 character models per race for the most part in the game. There are very few exceptions to this. And that wouldn't be such a problem if the exceptions, the unique characters, were actually important. There's only a few unique characters, and they are not important, so you don't really see them. I mean, outside of the main cast of characters that's on your ship with you, you don't see anybody who's generally unique to the rest of the group. And again, that is a problem, because then there are important characters that show up in the game that look just like unimportant characters. And that's horrible. And again, going back to the original Mass Effect trilogy, almost everyone had a different look. Even the NPCs that you saw that did look like each other, still you look unique in comparison to each other. And in Andromeda, it's not. It's not that way. NPCs that are important and unimportant NPCs almost look identical, and there's not very much variation between them. There's not changes in complexion. There's not very many changes in eye color or hair color, or it's just really, it's not. Like, in the most egregious of this is the Asari, because most of them look all of them look almost identical, with the exception of PB, who's a party member. But even your medic that's on your squad, Lexi, looks like all of the other NPCs. And at one point, during my own playthrough of the game, I was off my ship and saw an Asari that looked exactly identical to Lexi on my ship. And she was an Asari medic. And I was like, oh, great. So I was like, hold up, Lexi rolled up off the ship. I went to go talk to her and realized I couldn't talk to her in the game because that wasn't Lexi. That was an unimportant NPC character. And she looked completely identical to Lexi. See, it like in Mass Effect, you had the matriarchs and the maidens. Like you had different stages of Asari life, and even among the different stages, there were at least 2 to 3 different models for characters in those stages. It is just like so bad. But like in that, and again, this is true to all the races in the game, with the exception of maybe the humans, and the humans don't really get that much variation either. So, like, that would have been another thing I would have changed. I'd be like, okay, we need to make at least 5 or 6 different character models for each race. So that, like as far as the NPCs go, and then we need character-specific models for everyone who is unique. Everyone who's important needs to have a unique character model. It makes the world feel bigger. The way that almost all the characters look identical makes the world actually feel a lot smaller, because it's like you're running into the same people a lot. And that's annoying. Again, like, there are some unique character models, it's just not a lot. Like, I will say for, like, all of the settlements that you create, you do find unique characters in those settlements. Just not enough of them. Like, but if you go to, like, colonies from the Krogan or the new race of characters, the Angara that you meet, you don't find very much variation between these characters. And there's only like 2, maybe 3, possibly 4 that actually look different from each other. And again, that's just because some of those characters are actually important to the story. So they're specifically different from everyone else. But it's not that many of them, and you do run into a lot of these characters where you have missions. Like, I don't care if you only meet an NPC once for a mission, they should look unique to everyone else, because they are important in that moment. And that's the approach I would have taken. Like, because that was the approach of the original games. You could meet many different characters that looked vastly different from each other, and some of them you only ran into once or twice in the game, or once or twice even in the series. Like, so I would have been like, man, I need to make sure that these characters stand out. And I would have done so, like, because it makes the world feel more expansive. So I would have been all over that, like, yeah, we gotta make sure that these characters stand out. Especially if you're planning this to be a possible trilogy like the original trilogy. So you do want those characters to be able to stand out, so you can call back to those models when you make the later games in the series. So if a Mass Effect Andromeda 2 and 3 come out, you want to be able to call back to those character models and be like, okay, we'll reuse these models because these are unique characters that people will be able to identify. As soon as they see them, they'll be like, oh, I remember you from the last game. We had that moment together. And that's the world that the original Mass Effect trilogy built up. Whereas Andromeda didn't really start off with that stable of a base. It's just really, it feels very limited, even with better technology. And, oh gosh, it's an annoyance. Like, you can have some very fun experiences in this game, and I'm not saying that it's a bad game, but there are some major glaring issues, and this is what I'm covering. And these are the things that I would have changed if I was overseeing this. And I would have been playtesting this game from the time it started up until it was completed and it got the green light to go. I would have been playtesting the hell out of this game and be like, okay, we need to fix this, this, and this. Because we are not getting the play experience that people would expect out of a Mass Effect game. We're not getting the feel of a Mass Effect game the way that people would expect it. Like, there are going to be changes, and that was expected. There would have to be some changes made. That's not the problem. It's not the problem that there were changes made to the game. The problem is that the changes were so... A lot of the things that were changed didn't need to be changed. Or they were super simplified. And I guess it was in order to speed up production. But then it lost a bit of the soul of what the game was. And that's a problem. Now, the next issue that I would have changed overseeing and be like, and this is spoiler territory. I apologize if you haven't played the game. This is story bits that you will want to skip. I'll put a timestamp on screen so that you can skip it because it's just like, yeah, no, this is not where you want to be. Okay, and the introductory mission of the game, well, actually, even the story of the game, the jumping off point for the story of the game. You play as one of the two Ryder twins, the brother and the sister. You can pick to play as the sister or the brother. And your father, Alec Ryder, I believe his name is. Like he's only around for like the first mission of the game, and they don't really reference his first name much after that point. But you played through the game. You picked to play as one of the twins. You designed the twin that you're playing as, and then you design the twin that you're not playing as. You can change their design. You can customize it to how you want it to be. There's no problem with that. There's no problem with having that ability to do so. But the problem is you don't actually get to play as or have your twin in your party at all in this game. That's a problem. That is a horrible problem. And it's because when they jump off the game and you are taken out of stasis, then your twin is supposed to be taken out of stasis right behind you. When your twin is being taken out of stasis, there's an accident that causes them to basically be knocked into a coma while they're in stasis. They survive the ordeal, but they are literally in a coma that they can't come out of because of the fact that the damage happened to their pod while it was being moved before they could be awakened. See, my problem with this is they could have awakened the twin and had the twin go on the first mission with you and your father as the game makes it happen. So there are two permanent members of your party, Liam and Cora, that you meet. You meet them during this mission, during the introductory mission. What I would have had up to the point where you play around, you meet Liam, and then you meet Cora after that. Up to the point right after that point in time, I would have had it set up so that your twin finds your father and is partied with him up until you and Liam and Cora meet your father. So at that point, Liam and Cora get left behind to take care of the injured members of the group that left on this mission. They're behind to take care of the people that have survived, and you head off with your father and your twin. That way, they're both in your party. They're with you for the latter half of the first mission, which is called Habitat 7. It's a planet that they were supposed to be inhabiting, but there's problems with it, and they have to work through it. Now, playing through, you complete the intro mission. There is an accident that happens at the end of the mission. And during this mission, it's how your father dies. He dies in the game, passes on what he's supposed to do to you. Okay, and there's a discrepancy. So when the mission first starts, your character's facial mask breaks, and they are able to instantly repair it with the Omni tool, which is fine. They repair their masks and they don't breathe, because the atmosphere is harmful to people. So this accident happens and your mask gets broken again. And Alec doesn't repair your mask. He just takes your your helmet. He takes your helmet off and puts his helmet on you and transfers all of his credentials over to you as the player character. It doesn't make sense because you saw earlier that you were able to repair your mask. So what I would think to do, and this is where I would change things up, I'd make it so that this is why you would have your twin with you and you guys would play with the characters together. But all three of you would be blasted off the side of the mountain, which is what happened to Ryder and Ryder Senior. You get blasted off the side of the mountain. So what I would make happen is that both your mask and your twin's mask got broken. But Alec only had enough resources in his Omni tool to fix one of them. So he fixes your twin's mask and then mask on the helmet, which helps them survive and they go into the coma. But when he gets to you, he's out of what he needs in order to repair your mask. So at the last moment, he decides, okay, I'm taking my helmet off. I'm going to save my child. He takes his helmet off, takes your helmet off of you, throws his helmet onto you, and then transfers all of his credentials and things over to you to save your life. In which both you and your twin nearly die. You come back too because you get Sam, which is the artificial intelligence that was a part of Ryder's their father's chemistry, I should say, because their version of Sam is more advanced than everyone else's. All of the initiative, which is what it's called, has Sam. But the human Sam is integrated within their biometrics because of the implants that they have. So when he transferred Sam over, Sam started working on your biometrics within your body, which is what brought you back, woke you up. If your twin had Sam, they would have woken up and you would have been the one in the coma. That's how it could have been portrayed. They didn't do that. They didn't do that at all. That would have been the direction I'd have went because it would have made more sense. And I think more people would have got behind that rather than your twin is in a coma for almost 90% of the game and you get a 10-minute gameplay segment with them, and then they have an important role in the story for like the last hour of it. It's horrible. It is a very, very horrible thing. So that would have been the direction I would have taken the game and would have started the story off that way because, again, that makes more sense. It would have fit better into the story, and it would have made the player emotional connection to the events a little bit. It would have made it stronger because you would feel more for the characters because then the characters have like a estranged relationship with their father in the first place, the twins. But it would just show like, okay, I wasn't there for you when you needed me. And this is the one time I can do for you what you need out of me. And I can make sure that you survive. And it would make it more impactful of a moment. And on top of that, it would have just been better. It would have just been better story writing. It would have been better overall story writing. And I say this because it feels like the first part of the game, like the first several hours of this game, are disjointed from the rest of the game. And if people played this and they got into it and like before they got past like hour 6 or 7 of this game and they gave up on it, I understand exactly why from my playthrough of it. And I wondered, like, how can you have a character that you can do far more with than you could do with Shepard, with Ryder, but the game feels like less is happening. It feels less impressive. Like Mass Effect, when you first started playing, you were into that game. You were drawn in from like the first hour or so into that game. You were drawn into it. Whereas Mass Effect Andromeda, the buildup is so slow and it's so staggered and dragged out. It just feels, it feels like stomping through mud, or quicksand, I should say. It feels like you're trying to walk through quicksand to play this game when you first start it, because everything happens so slowly. And again, that's an annoyance. It's such an annoyance. And it's like all the story bits up to about hour 6 or 7 are so haggard. It's like there's a different writer for it. And that might be the case, where they started off with one writer and they worked backwards from how they were ending the game to how you would start the game, and they might have gone before they could do the beginning of it. At least that's what it feels like to me from my play experience. I can't say that's how it felt for everyone, but just me personally looking at it, like the beginning of the game is disjointed from the rest of the game. Like doing the first 2 planets, well, actually just technically doing the first planet and meeting, then after you meet the Angar, which is the new race of people that become allies to you. After meeting them is when the game starts to open up. You do meet another race called the Ket, which are basically the Reapers. The Ket are basically the Reapers, where they're trying to take everyone and make them them. That's what the Ket are. The Ket are the organic version of the Reapers. The Reapers are cyber organic, whereas the Ket are just completely organic. That's it. Like the Ket basically have a process that's just like indoctrination, where they hypnotize you and then they transform you into them. Whereas Reapers indoctrinate you, which is basically hypnosis, and then they break down your biomatter and turn you into a Reaper. The processes aren't very different. It's not very different. it's weird. Like, it's fine that they did that. It's just it's reusing the same concept, which is fine. And they left it open ended to way the story ended, that the Ket can come back. That there can be breaks in the fact. The difference between the Ket and the Reapers is that the Reapers are completely, they have complete solidarity. The Ket don't. The Ket have a purpose, and if everybody's working toward that purpose, yes, they have solidarity with each other. If someone strays from that purpose, then everyone else will be like, yeah, nah, dude, you're screwing up. Which I like that. It does differentiate them a little bit, because the Ket do have emotions, and they are people in a sense. They're just a different type of people. They don't reproduce. What's the word? It's not indoctrination. It's I'm forgetting the word. But it's basically they call it. I can't remember. I can't remember what it's sort of like saying they're ascending people, but they're not. They're turning them into them and forcibly changing how they think. So it's basically like a cult. If you really wanted to say it, it's like a cult. It is a cult mentality. But I wouldn't change how the Ket operate. I would not change how the Ket operate, because I like how they work. And the bad thing is, there are more unique designs among the Ket, the enemies that you face most of the time, than there are actual characters that you talk to regularly. That's a problem. That's a problem. I mean, it's great that there's a lot of variety among the Ket, but there's not really a lot of variety among the other races, which is the issue. So yeah, I basically broke it down. But like the first 6 or 7 hours just felt like it was dragged on, and whoever wrote that may have just not looked at the rest of what the other person had done, or they really truly did not know how to make these things match up well. And if that was the case, that's a horrible problem. This BioWare, they've had some really great writers on working on games, especially for stuff like Knights of the Old Republic or Jade Empire, where the stories are so interesting and they just drag you down into them. Like once you get started, it's like from the moment the game jumps off, you want to know more about the story. You want to do more in the worlds. You want to do more in the side missions and things like that. And the one thing I will praise Andromeda for is that the planets that you do land on, they have a lot to do. They have a lot to do. Like there are a lot of missions to take on. The problem with the first planet is that your main mission drags. And it drags on way worse than it needs to. It drags on longer than it should, to be fully honest. That first mission, like that first planet, literally can take you up to 5 hours to do what you need to do just to get off of it. Whereas everywhere else that you go in the game, once you're on those planets and you take on the need to do missions, the primary missions, they don't take that long. It's the side missions that can make you take forever, but those side missions also expand the story. Now, there is another issue that I have, and this is more spoiler territory, but this is the end of the video. So if you don't want to hear these spoilers, you're just going to want to stop the video here, and I thank you for listening. But moving on from that, Mass Effect Andromeda does connect back to the original story, whereas where they left, when the initiative left, was actually, it happened during Mass Effect 2. So these people took off into dark space for, was it 600 years, and crossed dark space to a different galaxy, which was believed to not be possible in Mass Effect. Okay, I'll excuse that. But here's an issue. There's nothing that tells you how things conclude in the original trilogy in Mass Effect Andromeda, and I understand why that is, because they couldn't predict what players would do. But what they could have done is allow you to upload your save data. If you've played the full Mass Effect trilogy, they could allow you to upload your save data from Mass Effect 3 to their servers. And then whichever system you have the game on, they could take that data and convert it to that platform and continue it in Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, there's this thing called the Writer Family Secrets. It could be a side mission if you haven't played any other Mass Effect games, so it's unimportant to the story at that point. But if you've played the other Mass Effect games, it should be primary. It should be important to the story at that point because you've already played the other games. So the Writer Family Secrets would link back to the original trilogy, and actually those story bits do. So it should be mandatory if you've already played through Mass Effect and had the experience with Shepard. And then there could be things that could be said by Liara, because Liara sends out messages to the initiative from the Milky Way. So, that being said, and that being the case, depending on how you ended Mass Effect 3, because it all comes up to a point where Liara is talking about things like right up to the point where the Reapers invaded the Milky Way galaxy to reset everything. So if and like you get little bits of information and stuff talking about things that happened throughout the Mass Effect series, and it's just like stuff that would be very easy to take. It'd be stuff that would be very easy to actually, have full completed story information for, if they had only just recorded for that. Like, say you took the path of taking control of the Reapers, then Liara should say something about Shepard sacrificed himself so that the Reapers would, and the Reapers became part of galactic society in the Milky Way, and they were helping rebuild the foundations of the worlds that they tore apart. Or when he did, if he completed synthesis, which again, Shepard sacrificed himself so that organic beings and synthetic beings basically became one. Or if he destroyed all synthetics and he survived, that Shepard had destroyed the Reapers, and they were rebuilding or restarting the synthetics that had been around, and Shepard was a part of the program to get them back started up, to rebuild their lives and everything. Or if he died, then Shepard sacrificed his life to save everybody, to destroy all synthetics, and they're rebuilding the galaxy, and the Mass Effect relays and things have been destroyed. Actually, with all of them, they should say the Mass Effect relays have kind of been destroyed, and they're rebuilding their lives. Or if Shepard didn't make the choice because of the special edition add-ons or the extended cut add-ons, then Liara sends a final farewell message saying, "We failed to stop the Reapers, but we've left things in place for the next society so that they can stop them." All of that type of stuff could have been put in there. That's the type of stuff that would have been great to have there. And there are characters who have had relations to events that happened in the original trilogy that pop up in Mass Effect Andromeda. But again, a lot of this is side missions. It's not stuff that's actually important to the story. But the Ryder family secret stuff, if you had played the original trilogy, should actually be mandatory story type missions, where like between planets, as you as you go to different planets, like you unlock more of your father's secrets and more of his memories through Sam, which everything was encoded. You find it like you end up with a lot of this information that you would not otherwise find if you didn't actually hunt it out. Like, and if you had that data and it became a requirement, you would have to go hunt it down. It's not like the stuff is hard to find. Like, the game makes it very easy to find it. Like, but you would have to actively search for it. So, like, I would have made that a key element. Like, if you played the original trilogy and you uploaded your data to EA servers, then Ryder Family Secrets becomes mandatory, and then the connections to the original Mass Effect are further explained, rather than we're up to the point where the Reapers are coming and they're working on the catalysts and everything to try to destroy the Reapers or take them out. Fine, that makes sense. If you haven't played the original, that's where it should stop. Like, but if you've played the originals, or you at least completed Mass Effect 3, then there should be something to say, oh, okay, all of this happened, and this was the conclusion. And then it should give you, at that point, give you the opportunity to, like, make logs and notes of it to be able to tell the initiative and to spread it to society. Be like, okay, hey, this is what happened back home. This is what we avoided. And that was like a really missed opportunity as far as I'm concerned. I would have wanted to have something like that programmed in, personally, because again, these things are still related to each other, even if they are separated by hundreds of years, and the characters' events, and like the events happened while these characters were drifting through space. I just think it makes a lot of sense. I'm not going to go into spoil too much more. But again, these are things that I would have been like, yeah, let's fix this. Let's fix this. This will make this game so much better. Because me personally, looking at Mass Effect Andromeda as a whole, if I was playtesting that game, I would have talked to this like, dude, you don't want to release this. People are not going to like this in the form it's in. And it didn't help that there were no patches made to this game. Nothing was worked on to fix even just any of the aesthetic issues with like the character models. That would have been a great leap. Like, if they could have just done that And I think it was just like once EA got the negative feedback from the game, they just gave up on it, which is the problem. It's a decent game. It is a decent game. Once you get past hour 6 or 7, it is a pretty decent game. And I'll put this out there. Sex scenes in this game are very graphic in comparison to the original Mass Effect. It is way more graphic. So if you had planned on any relationships with characters in this game, that's something you got to think about. You do not want to have kids around for that scene, those scenes when they happen. I'm just gonna put it that way. But it's a good game, and I would recommend it to people if you are willing to sit through like the first 6 to 7 hours of the game, knowing it's going to be a drag. Then you'll find enjoyment in it, because there are some really good story bits to this game. The character interactions and dialogues actually are fun. And a lot of the loyalty missions and side missions that you can have with your specific crewmates, they really expand the world and make it feel mostly alive, even if a lot of their facial expressions don't exactly reflect that. But those are the things that I would have fixed, and it would have probably made this game be so much better received. Because, again, fans of the originals played this game, and they're like, no, this is not that good. And even if it wasn't as good, it just didn't feel good getting into this game. It really did not feel good. Like, again, to me, I think after every hour, every individual hour of the first few hours of the game, I turned the game off. Because it just got to the point, like, I'd play for an hour, I'd get irritated with it, I'd turn it off. I was just too stubborn to quit. Not everybody else is like me. That's the problem. There are a lot of people that got into this game first 2 to 3 hours they were playing it, they're like, nah, Jack, I ain't playing this no more. And that's what happened. I can guarantee you that's what happened to this game. And it's a shame. Because, again, there are some really good bits to the stories going along, especially if you like to do a lot of the side missions on the planets. There are some really good story bits in this game. And you don't have to do everything before endgame. That's the even worse part. But, like, once you get to that point where you can do just the mandatory missions, you don't have to do everything before endgame. You can save all the side missions, well, most of the side missions, for after endgame. There is one other issue. I was just thinking about when I was just talking about the side missions. When it comes down to restoring the planets, there are these vaults that you can use to restore the planets. And this is called by synthetic or inorganic beings, robotic beings called Remnant. Which a character, the Asari... basically the Asari scholar that you have with you calls them Remnant, and she says she named them, but everyone in that galaxy has the same name for them, so there's no way she named them that, and that's a problem. That's an inconsistency in the story. But there gets to be a point where you're supposed to be able to collect technology from the different vaults, and it gets locked in if you don't get it on the way out, trying to run from the cleansing system of the vaults that will activate them and allow them to restore the planets. That is an annoying problem, and like, I would have never made it so that the vaults lock you out after the cleansing is done. I would have made it so that once the cleansing is done, you can go back and then pick up those items, or get items that you may have missed. Not make it so that you only have that one slim window of opportunity to get those items, and then leave you having quests that you can't complete. And that typically seems to be a thing with EA in these games. They'll set something up, and again, this goes to playtesting, where certain missions can't be completed because you passed a certain point in the game. How are you as the player supposed to know what stuff you can or can't complete? It'd be a different story if you know that, oh, okay, once I leave this planet is doomed. I can't come back here. How are you going to be able to complete those missions? That's a problem they need to fix. So they really got to start playtesting better on that. And again, that would be something I would have been like, nah, I wouldn't have let this be where you can't complete these missions because they just sit there. You legitimately can't 100% the game because a couple missions you can't complete if you miss one or two items, and you have no way to know when or how you'll be able to get those items. And even if you try, sometimes the game will stall or stop you from being able to get it in the moment you're supposed to get it. And then once you take care of the item in the mission that you need to, you can't go back. That's a definite issue with Mass Effect Andromeda. It's been an issue with the series in general, but it's a little bit worse than Mass Effect Andromeda. So unless you know ahead of time, you are screwed. And that's something I would have worked on and fixed. But I'm done here. Goodness, I have talked for a while. So, what do you guys think about the things that I said I would implement to fix this game? And if you have played it, what are your own ideas to fix issues with this game? Because I know I'm not the only person that has thought about how this particular game could be improved. But thank you guys very much for joining me. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, please enjoy your games and peace out.